Right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Can you see my screen?
No, sir. No.
Can you see it now?
Still not, sir. Only we can view you, sir.
Huh?
We can see only you, sir, not screens.
Not the screen.
Yes.
Share screen. Can you see it?
No, sir.
You can see me?
Yes, yes. We can see you, sir.
Disable share. Host disable attendee screen sharing. Can you call Indunil and who is hosting?
So now you make the host now, so now we can see. you have been appointed as a host, sir, now. There are two, sir, Lalit De Silva, there are two accounts. Maybe other one you are trying, sir.
Yes, wait.
I haven't got it yet. You are the host now, right? Okay. Select tab to share. बटन ऐड करना है Who is the host now? This is the NGK something.
Sir, I transfer to you now.
When I say share screen,
Can I log out and come?
yeah, you log out and come.
Okay.
One participant can share. Can somebody sort this out?
So if you can switch off your video and try the sharing.
Okay. Log out and then do, no? Right. Right. Okay. Now can see. Right. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you see the screen? Zoom in. Oh my. Share percentage.
Now,
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh. Right. Sorry about. Right. You have time now. Right. Right. Okay. So now let me start. Uh, start with history. Right. I was asked to do about EIN Environment Protection License. Right. Uh, I hope you all are aware of the uh, Central Environment Authority established under the National Environment Act. Right. You all know. Correct. Right. Generally, for most of the projects, which is called prescribed projects, which will come later, before we start a project and apply for uh, license to operate or construct, we have to get a environment clearance from the Central Environment Authority. So this is a parallel approval that is sought by UDA or whatever approving authorities to see whether the environment is protected and impacts on the development on environment is mitigated, right? So if you go back to history, before the Central Environment Authority was established, this kind of evaluation was started by the Coast Conservation Department, especially for projects that came along the coastal zone. The Coast Conservation Act number 57 of 1981 authorized the Department of Coast Conservation to evaluate environmental impact on projects happening along the coastal zone. What is coastal zone is actually 300 meters landward from the mean high water line and 2 kilometers towards the sea. So the authority is under the Director of Coast Conservation Department, right? So, but this was not limited, and it was necessary to extend this beyond the coastal belt, but in the Midland, in Colombo, in various other cities, projects like Mahaveli, road developments, all projects had to be evaluated in terms of impact on environment. So that is how the EIA environment impact assessment was given to the National Environment Authority, Central Environment Authority, which was established under National Environment Act, right? So there's a process for EIA for projects, and it acts as an effective tool for purpose of integrating environmental consideration into development planning, and now it is highly recognized in Sri Lanka for any projects. So this EIA process will allow the developer and authority to identify the likely effects of project on environment and find ways to reduce and mitigate the impacts. And also it allows officials to like amend the proposal, amend the designs, and decide how they can approve the project with the amendments to and improvements to environment. So it acts as a main tool for planning and achieve sustainable development, right? So National Environment Act number 56 of 1988 introduced EIA as part of strategy to achieve sustainable development for the entire country, and the Central Environment Authority was assigned the regulatory functions. So originally only large-scale development projects that are likely to have significant impacts on environment are listed as prescribed projects. Now, if you construct a house or a school or a hostel, like projects like that need not to be subject to an environment impact assessment. So there are limitations. If it is a tourist hotel without at least more than 100 rooms, 100 to 100 above 100, then they have to do a year, something like that, right? In addition to prescribed projects, if the project is located in environmental sensitive area, so such projects are required to undergo a EIA irrespective of the magnitude of the size of the project. So in addition to the Coastal Conservation Act, so there are other acts also which you should have been aware of or covered in any other lectures. So that is the Fauna and Flora Act number 49 of 1993. So you can see now we are living in 2023. So these are at least 30 years old acts, right? So according to this act, any development activity of any description whatsoever proposed to be established within 1 mile from the boundary of any national reserve. National reserves are like Yala, so there are declared reserves, right? Norelia, there's one. So there are declared national reserves. So if it is within 1 mile from boundary of any such national reserve, so such projects are required to go under a EIA, and written approval should be obtained from the Director General, Department of Wildlife Conservation prior to implementation of such projects. So now, with the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of Sri Lanka National Republic, there were certain relaxations given to function on its own for provincial councils, like except the police and the land matters. So there were devolution of power was given by 13th Amendment. You know what happened? The northern or a Eastern Provincial Council didn't do it, but Western Provincial Council was smart enough to have their own environmental statute for the Western Province. So they have passed an Environment Act, Provincial Environment Statute number 12 of 1990, that applies within the Northwestern Province. So the EIA process for projects falling within this province is regulated under this statute. You can see the danger of having such, devolutions. So that the Environment Authority, Central Environment Authority, has no jurisdiction over the Northwestern Province. That is, Northwestern is like Kurunegala, that area, right? So the environment impact assessment, there are 7 steps, I suppose. So first one is when you have a project, this is before you start the project, when you formulate the project. So there are preliminary information. If it is a power supply project or a power plant, say coal power project, right? So then the project proponent, say Central, Ceylon Electricity Board, has to, as the project proponent, has to provide the CEA with preliminary information on the proposed project, like how many tons of coals will be burned for a day, what will be the emission, how much of water they will take in from the sea to cool their plants and send it back to the sea. So what is the temperature when the water is put into the seawater? So when there will be any danger to the fish in the water. Suppose if the water temperature is 25 degrees centigrade, you send 40 degrees centigrade water into the sea after cooling the plant, right? Then that is affecting the flora and fauna of that area, right? So like that, they have to get the preliminary information of the project. So generally, a power plant work, that is why most of the time they are close to sea or mainly sea, is because they need a lot of water to cool down the plant. You burn coal, emanate a lot of heat, so the plant has to be cooled down. So cooling is done by water cooling process, by pumping seawater, sending the seawater through the plant, cooling the plant, taking the hot water out of the plant back into the sea. That can be miles apart, but there's water circulation. So generally, when they start a project like that, there's a design. So go to the design, they have to give this information, which can be likely impact the environment, the air temperature, the water temperature, the COD, BOD, biological oxygen demand of that water, things like that. There are a lot of scientific, chemical, and mechanical properties of discharges has to be given. So once that information is supplied to the Central Environment Authority, the committee will sit and give them a scoping when this specific project is referred to CEA. And CEA will decide whether it will be approved by the Central Environment Authority or the Coast Conservation Department. When it is, as I told you originally, within 300 meters of the mean high sea level and 2 meters into the water, the authority is Coast Conservation Department. So CEA will decide whether the project approving agency is going to be themselves or the Department of Coast Conservation. Right. So once the Project approving agency is decided by the CEA and the scope is given by the CEA, or else the project approving agency will carry out a scoping and terms of reference. So then the cost conscious department will have their own requirements more than the general natural environment. There will be other things like, which is relevant to coastal area, coastal belt, sea erosion, sand movement of the beach, is like that. When you pump water, there can be sea sand movement like that, right? So the scoping will be done by the project approving agency. So that is why I took an example like that so that we can explain. So now once the scoping and the TO are given, project proponent has to prepare a EIA report, right? So this EIA report can be in 2 steps. That the first step can be initial environment examination, IEE. IEE is initial environment examination, so you can find out what is there. You can find out what kind of fish there, what is the temperature of the seawater, what is the seasonal change of sea beach, how the river sand is moving. So beach is considered as a sand or river. It flows every day, right? So those initial environment examinations can be done, and then it can be incorporated into a EIA, environmental impact assessment, and then prepare the mitigation methods and how you are going to monitor and minimize and manage the environment in the local area. To prepare such a report, you need experts. One person cannot do. So there are a lot of experts. Oceanography, right? Oceanography is about the sea waves and how the sea water behaves and how the river sand moves, sea erosion, all that, right? Then there are other environmentalists like flora and fauna, so various kind of the influence that is discharged, and the fly ash that is coming from the coal power, how we are going to discharge that, what are the residues, what is the impact of chemical impact for those residues to the water streams, things like that. And the dust, emission of dust from the plant, the fumes from the plant, the smoke from the plant, what will be the impact on the local rainfall, things like that. There are a lot of sciences. So there are teams who are qualified to do this kind of reports. So the EIA, the Central Environment Authority, maintains a list of such consultants, which you can ask for. But you don't have to be limited to those. You can outsource other consultants, qualified persons from Sri Lanka or abroad, depending on the project, the type of project and the magnitude of the project, to prepare such a report. So then after the project is prepared, it will be once it comes to the required standard and cover the fields, relevant fields by the experts, qualified people, then it will be compiled as a report and submitted to the project approving agency. So when the project approving agency is become the coast conservation department, there's a team appointed by the department, whereas there are representatives from the Central Environment Authority, there are representatives from the wildlife, there are representatives of the Ministry of Fisheries, there can be representatives of the civil aviation, that kind of large team is appointed by the project approving agency. They will not only It will not only be approved by the officials of the project approving agency. Even if the Central Environment Authorities appoint themselves as the project approving agency, then they also will invite the coast conservation, fisheries ministry, aviation, all those representatives will be coming to represent and look after their area of expertise and impact. Right? So once the report is submitted, the report will be subject to an adequacy check in order to ensure that the TOR and is met and all the areas are covered. So once the report is submitted, the report will be open for public by way of a newspaper, or a copy can be kept at the project approving agency for public to go through it for a period of 30 working days. It can be in the district secretary's area, in the particular area, if it is in Mana. So a copy can be there in the Mana district secretary's office or a divisional secretary's office, so that the people can go and see it. And it has to be in all three languages, Sinhala, English and Tamil, so that any citizen can go through it, understand it, right? So if there are any public comments on the report, it will be sent to the project proponent for response. So project proponent has to answer the questions by the public or the officials. So once the 30 days is passed and the public comments are received, so there will be the project approving agency will appoint a technical evaluation committee, which I was explaining earlier. Representatives, technical and scientists from all other ministries which can be relevant to the project. Power and energy, tourism, like that. So once the technical evaluation committee, so you have to submit 13 copies of that report to the committee. So there will be at least 30 members, right? So the technical committee will evaluate the report and give their recommendations, whether certain things has to be revisited and give solutions, and there can be recommendations and observations, right? So then the project proponent has to respond to that, and there will be a final meeting for discussion with the presentation from the project proponent, right? As I told you, IE reports are not required to open for public comments. It will be only subject to technical evaluation, so that technical evaluation will decide whether they have to go for a EIA, and then the process will repeat. So step 5 is then the decision making. So based on the technical evaluation committee recommendations and the response from the project proponent, and they summon a general meeting, a final meeting with the project proponent, and discuss further before a decision is given. So based on the recommendations, the project approved agency will give the approval with the concurrence of the Central Environment Authority if the project is approved. So if the project proposer doesn't agree with the decision, suppose if it is rejected to ask them to be resubmitted, then they can make an appeal to the Secretary of the Ministry of Environment. So according to the minister procedure, the decision of the Secretary to the Minister of Environment is the fine. Of course, if they don't agree with that final decision, also they can go to courts and file a court action. Then, so EIA approval is generally given with conditions which project owner is expected to meet. And the CEO of the project or other project approval agency will monitor the implementation of the conditions, mitigation measures. And if the project proponent violate the conditions of approval, the approval may be revoked and cancelled. Right? And these are the two gazettes. And the EIA regulations are published for general public information. Right? So I was telling about what kind of projects are coming under this environmental impact assessment. So it says only prescribed projects are required to be subject to EIA. So the list of projects requiring EIA under the provision of the National Environment Act contained in the Gazette are given below. So in the part 1, you can see, if I read all that, all river basin development and irrigation projects, anicuts, bunds, canals, because that affects the underground water, the flora, fauna, reclamation of land, wetland area exceeding 4 hectares. So land filling, extraction of timber covering land area exceeding 5 hectares. Now, extraction of timber is even if you want to, suppose if you have a private land where there are 20-30 mahogany trees, you cannot cut that. For as to convert them as timber, you have to get the license and the permit from the first apply to the GS of that area, then go to the divisional secretary, get a permit. So the divisional secretary can decide whether it has to be subject to a IE or EIA because if it can affect the environment. If it is definitely more than 5 hectares, it has to be. But even less than that, the divisional secretary can decide. Right? For instance, if we have a tea plantation, if the tea plantation is affected by these trees, then you can say for agriculture purpose, you want to remove these trees and then recultivate. So then you are given a permit. When the trees are cut, there's a number put there. If you want to transport, you have to get transportation license. All that is there. Right? So that is what we mean by extraction of timber. So that is cutting down trees and converting into timber as timber planks, beams, or whatever. The number 4, conversion of forest covering an area exceeding 1 hectare into non-forest use. 1 hectare is about 2.5 acres. Take Nuwara town. The town is very small. It's surrounded by Galloway Forest Reserve. No government or private institute can go and clear the forest there. You are not into hotel or anything like that. Similarly, any other land, there's a forest cover exceeding 1 hectare. Anywhere in the country, you cannot clear. can't start building construction. What about the coconut land? You can see when you go to Nikambu, Gurunagala, Ittambu, that area, you can see a lot of coconut plantations are cleared, more than 1 hectare. So these are not considered as forest cover. If the rubber plantation is not considered as a forest cover. Those are planted crops. Forest cover is different, right? Clear of land area is within 50 hectares. Even for Mahavali or anybody, then that's why Mahavali had to undergo this kind of environment impact assessment. They were clearing a lot of land areas for townships. Mining and mineral extractions. If you want to take sand from the rivers, riverbed. If you want to take break granite, boulders, some mineral. You don't take graphite from an underground mine, phosphate, gems, mining, and mineral extraction. That our EIA. Transportation systems. If it is an elevated railway, which was proposed and cancelled, light railway, it has to be subject to EIA, transportation systems. Ports and harbour construction development, Port City, harbour expansion, Colombo Harbour, all those. Power generation and transmission, hydropower or generator power. I took the first example, coal power. Transmission line from a power plant, you have to transmit 33,000 voltage power lines to a distance. They step down to 11,000, redistribute to another distance. Then it step down to another 443 phase electricity. And when it comes to a residential building or a commercial building, it can come as 3 phase 230 electricity 3 phase. Step down, no. Why this 33,000 at the beginning? To reduce the loss of energy. Energy equals to VI, I squared R. So if the amperage is high, then the energy loss is high. So therefore, to reduce the amperage, you increase the voltage. V equals to IR. So if the V goes up, right? So there are physics. These are physics. So transmission line. Housing and buildings. Housing is like Vanathamulla, there was a large housing project. There are about 1,500 houses built. Created multi-development with housing, industry, commercial infrastructure like shops and things like that. Exceeding 10 hectares. Resettlements. Involuntary settlements exceeding 100 families. What is involuntary settlement? Like Mahavali settlements are involuntary settlements because the state plan and ask people to come. So they are given 1 acre land, 2 acre paddy land, and they are given a livelihood plan for families. So there can be settlements, emergency settlements like tsunami. Then you don't have to do it. These are planned settlements. But for tsunami, EIA was not done because it is emergency. Involved settlements are planned by the state or a planning authority to have settlement areas in new established economic physical projects such as Mahaveli, Lunugaon Behera, things like that. So there you take hundreds of families and resettle them to make a farming community. There can be cattle and goats and animal husbandry, farming, things like that. Those free settlements has to be subject to environmental impact assessment. Water supply. Naturally, you have to dig bores, collect water, water extraction projects, pipelines, laying gas and liquid, hotel construction that exceeding 99 rooms, fisheries, harbors, aquaculture. Fisheries harbor expansion project involved it is of 50% or more in fish handling capacity per annum. Say Nigamu Lagoon, Nigamu Fisheries Harbor. We did a project there. So we had to do EIA, an expansion of fishery harbors. Tunnel projects, like tunneling for Mahaveli project, Unuganga project. So when you tunnel, the entire water table of the area is dropped. So all the wells in that area were dried, Bandarawell area. So those are temporary things, but you know how you mitigate, minimize. Dispersal of waste, construction waste, solid waste. The municipal waste, there are any projects to waste disposal, then it has to go through PIAs. Because waste treatment or waste disposal can produce a lot of waste, can produce a lot of toxic gases, hazardous waste, especially dump pits. You go and dump waste into a land, it can pollute the groundwater, can produce various gases which can be harmful to human life. You know that what happened in Mitatamulla, the sliding of the waste. They were they were like destroyed some houses and they killed people. Some people were killed. Ratmalana, close to our university, there's a uh, municipal solid waste disposal dumping yard. It has been getting heaps of. They get about 6 tons of municipal waste for a day. So you can see for a month you get about 180 tons per day. 6 tons per day. So the construction waste also can be more than the municipal waste. The construction waste disposal is a very big problem. Most of the people sometimes go and dump into water basins, river basins near the rivers, so it can be polluted. The the flora and fauna alone, the river basins can be affected. The mangroves, especially the coastal environment plants that protects the uh, coastal environment and prepare breeding grounds for uh, the fish prawns in those lagoon water. So development of all industrial estates park exceeding 10 acres like Ratmalan Industrial Estate, Karunaka Free Trade Zone, Konkan Free Trade Zone. Those are the industrial estates. Iron and steel industries, a lot of heat in this required, steel products. Non-ferrous basic metal industries, melting aluminium, copper. These things can emanate a lot of gases exceeding 25 tons per day. Saharan copper factory comes to my mind. I don't know how many tons per day were handled by them, but what they did mostly they took the empty cases from the army headquarters and they were converting them into various products. Excuse me. आज धनुष का lecture है क्या? Hey. Empa ada ada karena nahan. Yang kita bela hatarat tahu nih. Kamana ya padang kata ya. Kan. Wah ini gitu. So iron and non-ferrous basic metal, basic industrial chemicals formulation, toxic chemicals production, the rubber manufacturing, latex manufacturing, chemical manufacturing. In fact, most of the chemicals are imported to Sri Lanka, but there are some companies, factories who are making industrial chemicals for local industries. So those can be toxic and dangerous, and fire risk is there. Right? So though it called 25 tons per day, even 5 tons per day, they require to get it. Pesticides and fertilizers, which we don't do at the moment, we are only importing. Petroleum and petrochemicals, like the Petroleum Corporation, Indian Oil Company is operating now here. Tire and tube industries like Kalin Tires, DSI, they have to right, lubricated gas, aviation, marine fuel, liquefied petroleum gas like shell gas and laugh gas. There are industries. So those are petrochemicals. So tire and tube industries, as I told you, DGS and Cali, and there's another one newly started in Orana. Sugar factories, sugarcane, Alatta sugar industry, cement and lime manufacturing, Wood Club Cement, Sanstha in Sri Lanka, paper and pulp, spinning and weaving. It was existing in Sri Lanka, now it is all diminished because of industrial policy. All this spinning, weaving, and finishing textiles are like very limited to small productions like Barbara Sansoni and things like that. Tanneries and leather finishing. Tanneries is a big industry in India. Like to make your shoes, handbags, leather products. You have to get the get the skins of animals and tan them, put chemicals and prepare them. So those are highly chemical industries. So they need to go through EIAs. So for all these projects, there are 10 major institutes for project approving agencies. The respective ministers to which the following subjects are assigned: national planning, irrigation, energy, agriculture, land, forest. So anybody of this forest can be a project approving agency. The highways can be a project approving agency if it is an elevated railway project. Fisheries, aquatic resources, plantation industries. So those are ministries. So sometimes from government to government, these ministries are changed. But whatever the ministry to which these disciplines are attached, they can become a project approving agency and implement this EIA. The Department of Coast Conservation, Department of Wildlife Conservation, Department of Forest, the Central Environment Authority, as I told you, the Urban Development Authority, Geological Survey and Mines Bureau, if it is a postpaid, say fertilizer manufacturing plant has to be approved by the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau. If it is a tourist project class, involvement of tourism and things like that, then it has to be Ceylon Tourist Board. As I told you already, if even if the tourist board gives the approval, there will be Central Environment Authority, there will be Forest Department, there will be Coast Conservation. It's finally a very comprehensive committee that approves it, under whose seal is given, whoever whose seal tourist board to Mahavali Authority or even board of investment can be project approving agency if foreign investment is coming. So they have to look after the interest of the national reserves, right? So these are the project approval agencies. So generally EIA is that, right? So that's the end of the first part of the lecture. I don't know if this was recorded. Was this recorded by the university? If it is recorded, then if you can upload this on the Moodle, the students, the graduate students can take it. Otherwise, you can share it, right? So we can ask if there's any questions. You can ask now. Are you sleeping or up?
Sir, now you're giving us this note, no? So the Moodle, we
No,
can get it.
I only have shared it over the Zoom, but I can give it to the university so that they can upload it or give a copy to you all. I don't know how you are going to do it.
Normally uploaded to the Moodle, sir, then we can download
Yeah,
it.
that's right. So, who is from any technical person from the university in the? Nobody. Who? No one there. So what I will do is I will send this so that they can upload it and you can share. You can take it from them. Huh? I'll tell engineer. Okay. So in the meantime, you can ask. I can go back to the slides, and you can ask any questions if you want. It's not it's not difficult thing, but only thing you should know the process, right? And what kind of projects are there, and what kind of projects you will be involved in future, right? Depending on whether you are an engineer or a project manager or an architect or a quantity surveyor, you can fit into whatever area that is required if you know this information about the EI. Have you all been covered about the Central Environment Authority law, the UDA law, all that?
No, sir. No.
Okay, I'll give you a lecture next time on that, right? The different acts of parliaments and laws established to monitor environment. Okay. So next lecture I will give on that. Please get it this when it is uploaded on the Moodle. I'll send them. And if you can, I can give you another 15 minutes or whatever time you like to discuss anything. So there are about 32 people, is it?
29 to 32 years, sir.
Yeah, I saw it.
Sir, IEE initial environmental
Environment
evaluation.
examination, now suppose, now say we were doing Nigambu Lagoon development because there's a fishery harbor in the Nigambu Lagoon, right? So we did some developments for clearing the canals, making some jetties, right? So what they wanted was us to do a IEE, whether from our development process, whether there will be any impact on the environment, right? So if they realize that the impact is very easily compatible and mitigating can be mitigated, then they don't want us to go through a large report. If I show you, you can see the screen, is it?
Can see, sir.
Yeah, I'll show you what we have done for Nigambu Lagoon or Nuwara. EIA. Say, so we have to give this report in 3 languages: Tamil, English, and Sinhala. So this is the EIA report. The size is the single translation, right? It's huge. Yeah? It's a sports, right? So it's really yellow උන්නතාස ක්‍රීඩා පුහුණු සංකීර්ණ අවසාන වාර්තාව 2018 ජූලි. Right? You can see the content. Under 89 pages. Right? It's a big book. And there's a Tamil version, there's an English version. Right? For translation, it took about 3 months to translate from English to Sinhala. Understand? Can you hear me? Can you see this?
Yes, sir. Can see, can hear, sir.
Right? Okay. Right. So all this has to be given. So EIA is not a simple thing, right? It's a lot of work. Flora and fauna. A lot of expert work has to be done. Yeah.
So now, having gone through all this impact assessment and IEEE, and
Yeah.
the final authority to give the consent or the budget approval, anything will
Central
be done
Environment
by?
Authority for this project. Central Environment Authority for this project. And there can be cost conservation if it is close to the sea. If it is close to the wildlife, it is. No, sorry, this is the wildlife department because it is close to the Galloway Forest Reserve. So the final authority can be different. The approval is given by them, but evaluation is done by a technical committee comprising all the representatives from all the relevant ministries. Right? You understand? So that is the kind of report that we are talking for a EIA. I can't find the English one. Tamil version. In addition to that, we did a social impact assessment. Social impact assessment project proposed higher to training center, Varelia, Sri Lanka. You can see there, this is a social, how it is affecting the livelihood of the people inside the local, inside the premises, and that's 41 page, right? You understand? So this is the level of report that we are talking, right? So we have to give a scope in first, the method, how we are going to do it. All that is a tedious project. Take about 6 months to do a thing like that. So we have to attach these gases 2007. Act. Can see now? is
So is there any assessment like political impact assessment?
what?
Political impact assessment, no, social impact assessment like
Actually, politics is not part of our life, you know. It is induced, no, by politicians. Otherwise, politics should be neutral to the general life. They should carry out their duties, and we have to live. But what has happened? They are bringing politics to influence all our lives. That is the problem.
Yeah, because
So,
now the out of all this examination and the evaluation, most predominant thing is political or the social. Will say people impact assessment having.
I agree with the social. I don't agree with the political because political has to be an ideal political policy where they allow the law to take on control of everything. So this is law. When it is gazetted, say partly Champika Ranavaka is there to gazette this one. In the minister gazetting. After that he says no, because this is people's will. People's will. That limits of area land described in Schedule 1 here to shall be an environmental protection area for the purpose of aforesaid act and shall be called the Talangama Environmental Protection Area. B. That for so long as this order is in force, any planning scheme or project within the aforesaid protection area which is in conflict with the provisions of the aforesaid act shall cease to operate from the date of making thereof. So if there's any industry, if there's any business that is carried on in the Talangama Environmental Protection Zone area without the approval, cease to operate. So that is the political, that is the law. That's all. After that, if Champika comes and no, this guy is my friend, allow him, then it is a political impact. You understand? Which is not accepted.
There were, yes, there were.
The politics is only there to make rules and regulations, the policies. So it says no person other than the Central Environment Authority shall exercise any powers or discharge any function in the limits of opposite Talangama Environmental Protection Area. It gives the powers to the Act by Gazette. The powers and functions of the Central Environment Authority permitted users shall in relation to the opposite environmental protection area be limited to those specified in Schedule 2 of this order and shall be exercised and discharged in accordance with the conditions specified in Schedule 3 thereof. So there are 3 schedules and that is the law. After that he can't come and say no. You understand? So these are the table Schedule 1. That is the area. This is the Schedule 3, Schedule 2. Cultivation of paddy can be done. Fishing can be done. Nature trails can be done. These are the permitted uses. Construction of towers for the observation of birds can be done. And environmental education information center and sales outlet can be done. Construction of a security post can be done. That is the only thing that can be allowed. In Schedule 3 also, construction of security post shall be constructed in limited numbers and shall be of semi-permanent. You understand? All that is given. Beyond that, no politics. Understand? Right? So political evaluation is not coming to the picture. It is the social. It is the people who are important. So it says B, Schedule 3, only the area alongside the Depa and the mud buns near of the paddy fields can be used for the purpose of nature trails. Nature trails කියලා වෙනම කණු ගහලා මේවා හදන්නත් බෑ. පැඩි ලෑන්ඩ් එකේ තියෙන මඩ් බණ්ඩ එක විතරයි පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. The construction of bird observation towers shall be constructed in limited numbers shall be of semi-permanent. Concrete gone bad. Only traditional fishing activities are permitted within the environmental protection. Like an dalak gala, malu bitteng allan, evage vitara boat to hill allan bad. Motorboats will not be allowed. You understand?
Yes.
The political impact is given here. That is the political impact. You make the law. So Schedule 3E says no barriers or activities which hinder the sustainability of the environmental protection zone will be permitted. Any barrier activity or erected or carried out shall be forthwith removed or stopped by the CEA. Power is given. Then F says permitted uses shall be carried out in such manner as not to disturb the general life pattern of life and livelihood of the villagers. Boat to Dallas, Sadde Dal, villagers ran the Dagat variant. Eva Karanat bad, music got bad. Understand? So that is politics. There's no evaluation for that. That is like Gale Ketupu Akura. The law is law, right? Understand? So that is EIA. So these are the gazettes, the powers given by the government, the minister, the cabinet to the Central Environmental Authority by Act of Parliament and other gazettes. So they have to implement the law, right? In fact, social impact has been done because it is affected. It affects all our activities affect the people. The most important part is our people and the environment.
Umaya also is also a kind of a social impact assessment came into.
Yeah. So it has to be, they have to evaluate what is happening to their drinking water, their life, their cultivation. Umaya was a problem because of the tunneling has reduced, dropped down the water table of the ground. So the wells were like dried out, right? It's very interesting because why we are working for the people. All these universities, why you have been graduated? To serve the people. Of course, while serve the people, you make a living. You earn some money for your food and transport, your family, electricity bill, telephone bill. But that doesn't mean that you can violate the law and earn money. The principle is that. Okay. So no other questions? Anybody else?
So before any EIA or IEE, now the requirement has to come from people or any organization or
so that is why I said you can do a
discussion.
IEE is if you are planning to do a project, say in Amman, you can go and talk to people. That is the initial environment examination. You check what is happening, right? Then you come to a conclusion whether you need to mitigate. Is there an impact? Then you do a EIA.
Now there are situations maybe coming, sir. Now having done all the IEE, then the requirement will come and the spending so much of money, then the social impact will come and shift in the projects here and there. Ultimately, the things will not get initiated also, and also stand still.
So why we do a EIA and SIA not to disturb the project. To do the project, in such a way so that the minimum impact is there, and whatever the impacts that coming from the project has to be mitigated. There can be solutions. That is why science and technology is there. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So from science and technology, we have to win over that. If you stop projects, people will not be able to live now because you have to make a living, you have to develop the country, you have to have industries. You cannot not have tanneries because you wear shoes, you use handbags. Of course, some people doesn't use leather handbags, but some people use leather handbags. The people who
Actually, sir, I
also
mean to
use
say now,
leather handbags,
final
we
stage,
cannot
the
deprive the
project will
right.
stand still.
Sorry?
Uh,
Sorry?
yeah, sir.
Because you can't stop projects, right? Investment that creates employment, that creates income for the society. You understand?
Yes, sir. If I tell you the typical examples, sir, now initially there was a domestic airport to be constructed at earlier government. It has the Nuvarelia area, and
Yeah.
this government again it came up in Badul area. Due to the geographical location, it was shifted to Haputale.
Right.
When the power line and the climate condition, the visibility is very critically affected for aircraft, it has shifted to Bandaravela.
Right.
University of Moratuwa has done this thing, and we have to spend so many of money, and still it's came up to the one landowner where they are going to affected the very high growth tea plantation. So it also mitigated, and we have spent so much of money, and project also not has been initiated.
No,
So
there
now,
may be other political reasons, as you said, but now actually Nuvarelia race course also was proposed as a domestic airport. While the race horse was done, they wanted to have a landing track, landing what you call landing track, no landing track across the
runway,
airport, across the race course, right? So then there were evaluations, where you cannot land any aircraft while the race is on. Then the horses will start running haywire. Just imagine if a plane coming and land in while there's a horse race, what will happen to the horse? They will be scared, right? So so we have to reject at the initial stages. But what you say, so you have to consider the the weather, more really weather, very cloudy and rainy during a certain period, and the wind is there no area. So maybe you have to locate the place. Maybe Haptale is a good location. Uh, so maybe there are other reasons we have to see. I have to see the report then. Maybe
so
some
actually,
underlying reason is there to stop the project.
yeah. Instead of starting from having gone through all the bottom levels, what I want to convey to you is to having the potentially viable of the project, in the sense not with the technical terms, the science or technology, but with the political influence or the social influence, even the right
No,
thing.
political influence not. The political will should be there. Now, suppose recently Ratmalani Airport was declared as a national international airport. That is a political decision.
Yes.
Can we stop it? No.
Yeah.
It is the power of the people given to the parliament to run this country. Right? So once they take a decision, if there are interested group, they can go and protest. with reasons. It is up to the government to accept it or not accept it, or the majority of the parliament will decide whether to go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So
Okay,
this
sir.
domestic airport in Nuvareli or Aputali is a political decision. Right? If you take away the political decision, if you start with the scientific decisions, first what you have to do is, okay, there's an aviation department proposal to have a domestic airport close to Nuvareli. So that is for requirement of tourism, promotion of tourism, and so on, business, commerce. Based on that, you do IEE. That is not very expensive. Go and talk to people, go and talk to the landowners, go and talk to local authorities, go and talk to people and submit an IE to the environment authority and say, okay, look here, we have an idea of having this. Right? Then anyway, having local or international airport is for parliament decision. Cabinet has to decide. You can't have a private airport in Sri Lanka. So then the decision has to be taken and do the EIA and all that. You understand? You can start from there. Because parliament or the cabinet we can get agree. But the people are multifaceted. A lot of interest groups are there. They can object, they can come on rallies and say, okay, we object. So see what happened to Hambantota Airport. Was there any objection for that? No. People didn't object. But there are inherent problems. Understand?
Yes,
Even today, people are not object to the airport in Hambantota. But there are problems by birds and animals and elephants. Right? Those are nature. So nature we can study now. Nature we shouldn't change now by force. We are trying to protect the nature. So what I'm suggesting to start from that. Check the nature, what is happening. Right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other guy? Logendra, from where are you?
I'm from University of Colombo, sir.
University of Colombo. What is your hometown?
Deputy Registrar, Capital Works.
Sorry?
Deputy Registrar, Capital Works.
No, I'm asking what is your hometown?
Jaffna.
What is your village?
Point Pedro.
Point Pedro.
Point Pedro.
Tell me, if I want to have a domestic airport in Point Pedro, will the people object? No, they will be happy.
Happy, will be happy, yes.
They will be happy because they will have business, they will have customers, right? They can sell their products.
Now, at the moment, Jaffna International Airport is operating now, sir.
Sorry, Jaffna, there's an airport. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. That also commissioned as Jaffna International Airport.
Yeah, I know, but it is run by at the moment it's run by the Sri Lanka Air Force. I don't know
Not
if
by
there
Air
is
Force,
civil aviation now.
Airport and Aviation, sir.
Airport aviation. So maybe they are handed over. Because I used to fly to Jaffna twice every month from Air Force flights. So it was under Air Force. Maybe it is given. So that should be naturalized. When there was a war, the Air Force took it. Now when there's no war, the peaceful country, then it has to go to the normal authority to run it.
Still, Air Force is also running separately.
Air Force is there to look after their interest because the Air Force flights are coming and they have to have security. All that is there. Even in Colombo Airport, in Bandanagar Airport, there are certain Air Force is there because they also use it. Right? Even Ratmalam, they use it. Right? That is okay. But first we must think of the people. What is the impact on the people? Their economy, their jobs, their livelihood. Why we are doing all this? To make people happy, make people livable. Difficult to live, that's a different thing because of all our actions. But this is the effort. Why you are studying? To serve the people. Why all these acts are there? Parliament, act of parliament to protect people, not to protect us or the MPs. Right? Okay. Mr. Ratnagar, you want to ask any questions? I saw your mic is on and then off.
Yes, sir. I have some connection problem.
Ah,
So
right. Okay.
I come to.
Good. Rally Mohammed, where are you from?
Hi, hello, sir.
Sorry?
Hello. I'm living in Dehiwala, sir, but originally I'm from Ruwanwela.
Ruangala. So that's a good area, good climate.
Yeah.
Huh? Right.
Yes, sir.
You know what Ruangala is famous for?
Ruwanwela.
Pink stone, which was brought to mix the old parliament, was from Ruangala.
Yes.
Ah, right.
All
Remember,
parliament was built
old
using those
parliament
stones.
built stone from Ruangala.
Yeah. It's
Right.
quite rare.
Yeah, quite rare, pink stone, yeah.
Yes.
Right. So any questions from the lesson?
Can we have a sample assessment document, sir, for our reference? If you have any.
I'll upload that singular version of this thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No, really. Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay.
So now when you considering the project evaluation having potentially good for the Sri Lanka, and when it's come to the implementation stage where the budget allocation, everything going to be allocated, so still the minister sometimes like light railway going to stop the thing because of some political concern or
It
the
is not political. It is for commissions.
commission. No, sir. No.
If they don't get the money, they don't want to have the project. That's the thing.
There's no any mechanism to mitigate to
Kill them. Kill them. That is what the LTT was doing. I'm sorry to say this, but they are the people who ruin this country. You know, I have so many examples where they stop projects, good projects, because they didn't get the share of money. You know, that's the thing. The problem is killing is prohibited by law, no, so you can't do that also. You know, but people have to kill them politically by defeating them. But they are re-elected, no. However much they do wrong things, they are re-elected. Right? That's why these people are asking for change, to change the system. System is finally, they are not answerable. The cabinet of ministers are not answerable for the losses they cause. Say by cancelling your airport project, you know, I should be able to go to courts and say, or the light railway, look here, because this minister's wrong decisions, the country is losing this much of facilities for transportation and livelihood. Therefore, it should be compensated by this minister personal wealth. You understand? But the constitution does not allow that. Us to challenge them in courts of law. So that is why you should change this constitution and get the absolute power to the people, not the cabinet.
But even the people also represented by the ministers or somebody in the parliament.
People are represented by the people, ministers are representing the people, but the ultimate the law, the constitution says, the constitution has no provision, and constitution has no provision to say that people, the ministers or the MPs who are making wrong decisions on behalf of the people has to pay compensation. For instance, Gotabe accepted that it was his mistake to stop the fertilizer. Is he liable to pay any farmer? He can come and say, sorry, I made a mistake. But the people who suicided, people who lost money, people who lost their plantations, who is paying? Gotabe? Or the government? No. But there should be a way to get that from him, no? Him and that, how the Dostaraya? Padeniya. You know, they should pay the farmers the losses. They can't make a wrong decision and say sorry. That is where the constitution doesn't allow us. So we should change the constitution that people have the power to recall and power to get the compensation from the people who are doing the mistakes. They should go to jail if they can't pay. So anyway, this is not a political class. We'll meet for another session to discuss the political, right? We'll have another Zoom outside the university.
Put us also into that Zoom so that we can bring out our ideas.
I will do it. Right. So we group of people are getting organized into a kind of organization called Venus, right? So we want to change the constitution of this country so that all